Calling the Cowtown Amateur Radio Club Information Net. This is Kilo Golf 5 Juliet Papa uniform. My name is Anthony, net controller for this evening session. This net meets Thursdays at 7 o'clock local time. This 2-meter net meets in response to the social distancing restrictions brought about by the COVID-19 virus in place of our usual clubhouse social gatherings. The Cowtown Amateur Radio Club can also be found on the Facebook and Group.io pages. Check them out. The directed net, which means check-ins only when the net control asks for check-ins, with call signs only, and please use proper ITU phonetics. All amateurs are invited to participate. Do we have any emergency or priority traffic? Heard. Does anyone have any announcements or QSTs for the net? Do we have any club officers? Please come with your call signs.
K5YT.
K5YT. Good evening, Bud. How are you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Just having somewhat difficulties. I was actually seeing earlier better when I was reading this, and now I'm having trouble reading and focusing. But with that said, that's an issue that I'm dealing with. But do you have any announcements for the net this evening? Over.
No, just hoping that some folks out there will want to do a little rag tune or talking about ham radio stuff.
I got a couple announcements. One you may not like, but I found this out within the last 24 hours or so, and I'm trying to get an answer from John Crook from Yesu. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. The other thing I wanted to make an announcement, being we are having a net this evening, the VE session, in-person session that we're supposed to have tonight at 7 o'clock at the clubhouse has been canceled due to unforeseen circumstances beyond our control, but hopefully we will be able to continue with in-person VE sessions in the next 2 weeks, the second week of October, and on from there. The other announcement that I have is, as per John Crook, he is working with the folks from the go-to meeting webinar that he had, people that he used for the webinar. It appears that possibly the Yesu system presentation that was done last week was not recorded, and he's trying to find out for sure. If that is the case, he plans on doing another special presentation where he will record it again, but I'm trying to find out whether we have to participate in the presentation again, or we're just going to record it and then forward it for viewing. With that, do we have any other comments? Over.
KF5YT. That was an interesting presentation, and if we don't get it recorded and don't get it posted, I don't suppose the world will come to an end over that.
He is trying to stay on top of it. I was trying to get an answer from him this afternoon after I came home from the doctor's office, because I was also on the phone with some other doctors this afternoon, but I had texted him and I haven't got a reply back, so I'm hoping to hear from him hopefully within the next day or two, and I will try to keep everybody abreast of the situation and let everybody know what's going on.
Bravo Alpha.
Bravo Alpha, go ahead, sir, with your complete call.
Kilo Juliet 5, Bravo Alpha. Oh, good evening, Anthony and Bud and everyone else. Regarding the gentleman from Yazoo, that's kind of like a presentation I'm sure that he's done for many clubs across the country. If we were not able to record it, perhaps he could just give us a link to another presentation that he's done elsewhere for a different club that's online somewhere. Over.
That's my understanding what he's going to be doing. He's going to be doing a special presentation that he's going to redo without people involved. That's my guess, and then forward it to us so we can share it with everybody.
Okay. Does anyone have any details as to exactly why we think it was not recorded? That app that we used last week was not one that I had ever used before, so I have not looked into it myself, but it was an excellent presentation. I really enjoyed it.
I've used that app before. I think, I'm trying to remember whether no, I don't think this, I think some other weather affiliates have used it for weather training, not the National Weather Service, because I think they used another program, or meeting media for webinars. But I know there's a whole bunch of them there, and he was very surprised to hear. That's why I was trying to contact the people to see if that is the case. That way he can, if he has to make a special recording, he will to forward it to us so we can post it on our social media sites. That said, let's go start the rounds of check-ins and see who is available and listening this evening. Over.
November 5, Uniform Whiskey Mike.
November 5, Uniform Whiskey Mike. Good afternoon, Mark. How are you?
Good evening to the net. It's kind of interesting because I'm also listening to a net coming out of Arkansas on this frequency in between y'all's keys. I thought I'd throw that out there. It's coming out of, I believe, Jonesboro, Arkansas. But anyway, don't have anything new, just staying home and listening to the radio and everything. So I hope everybody's staying safe and staying indoors, and we'll catch y'all later in 5 UWM.
Kilo.
Well, thank you, Mark, for your kind words and everything. I hope you can participate and stay on the net with this wonderful ride to a wonderful family. With that said, do we have any more check-ins for the Cowtown 2-meter information net this evening? Go ahead. Over. Phonetically.
Kilo Juliet 5, Bravo Alpha.
I got Kilo Juliet 5, Bravo Alpha. Thank you, Matt. Anybody else?
Helio. Yeah. Right off the gate, too.
Kilo Golf 5, Kilo Uniform Delta. This Monday.
Kilo Golf 5, Kilo Uniform Delta?
That is correct.
There was some QRM in there, and I was trying to hear you over that. With that, let's continue on with some more check-ins. Go ahead, slowly and phonetically, please. Over.
Kilo 5, Papa Hotel Delta.
5, can I get your suffix slowly phonetically? I got the Delta part.
Papa Hotel Delta.
05, Papa Hotel Delta. Good evening, Larry. Hope everything is well with you and yours. Over.
That's fine.
Ending. Do we have any other check-ins? Please say slowly and phonetically. With nothing heard, let's go on top of the list to AF5YT. How are things in your ham world this week? Over.
I'm still struggling with antique transceivers. I've got 2 KWM2s. One belongs to a customer, one belongs to me. And I'm struggling with the 10-meter bands on those, getting them to tune upright. They just don't want to do it. And I don't remember ever using the 10-meter band when I was in the Air Force and familiar with these things, so I'm sitting here tearing my hair out trying to figure out what's going on.
A lot of hair to begin with, my friend, so you're got 2 strikes against you in that department.
What 2 strikes would those be?
Hair?
I'm sorry, I missed something, Anthony. What 2 strikes do I have against me?
The lack of hair because you keep your hair so short. Over.
What? Because when I don't keep it short, it disappears off the top because I'm tearing it out.
But I'm saying that's why you already have 2 strikes against you in that department. You already almost depleted that area.
Right. Well, anyway, so I've got 2 hollow state devices on the bench, and I'm really having a good time with them. But one of my mobiles, a Yaesu 7900, died on me the other day. I'd left it in the pickup truck, left the pickup truck sitting for several weeks. Came out, the pickup truck battery was dead, and the 7900 blew a fuse. So I got to send that back to Yaesu. I took the top off of it to see if I could see something obvious. And I mean, you got to have the strongest reading glasses in the world, plus a magnifying glass to see anything. It's so tiny.
That said, I'll pass you along my glass eye for maybe some enhancement. That might work. Over.
There you go.
With that said, let's go down to the next gentleman in line. That would be Kilo Juliet 5, Bravo Alpha. Go ahead, Matt. What's in your ham world? Over.
Well, thanks, Anthony. Well, hi to everybody. This is Matt, KJ5BA. First of all, good evening, Bud. I bet you like working in the garage workshop now that it's finally starting to cool off. I have a little something for Kent, KG5COW. A few weeks ago, I gave him a couple of articles about towers and instruction that I clipped from some old ham magazines, and just now this evening I ran across another one that he might like, so I'm going to clip and save it for him. Let me reset here. And just last night I fixed 1980s era AM/FM radio for a friend of mine. It just needed a little bit of TLC and clean up and deoxide sprayed into the moving parts there, and that seems to be working. And other than that, just pretty much staying out of trouble, intermittently hearing the repeater on board the space station. Sometimes I hear traffic through it, and sometimes I don't. But and that's about what I got. KJ5BA, back to that.
That sounds outstanding, Matt. I've been trying to chase that bird too, where some days I hear it perfectly, other days I only hear noise, but it is what it is, whether I'm using my outdoor antenna connected to either my HTs or my Kenwood, but it's easier to operate through my HTs because I see the screen better. But I'm going to try to maybe use my Kenwood, my V71 Alpha, and see if I can locate it. Also, I wanted to ask you, have you been doing any projects with your arcade games endeavor that you used to do back in the day? Wonderful hobby of yours. Over.
Affirmative, yeah. Recently I fixed a game called Gravatar, which was an XY vector graphics game, and it just had a bad op-amp on one of its video outputs. And so fixed that and actually got to play it on the workbench by hooking up an XY oscilloscope and verified that worked. And here and there I still do occasional arcade game repair work. Today at my daytime job I fixed electronic gizmo that I literally never heard of before. It's called a pressure oven. I guess it's like a combination of microwave oven and pressure cooker. It looks like a microwave oven, but it's got 3 large heating elements in it and a rotisserie inside, and it can also have like high pressure in it to assist in your cooking. It's one of these really fancy things that you get at like a high-end cooking equipment store, and it had a slight electrical problem, like a bad solder joint. So I got that fixed, and so the customer's back in business. KJ5BA.
J5BA, KG5JPU for ID. Besides that, Matt, I do have a question, because I know a few months ago your brother had acquired a jukebox, and he was trying to get test equipment to try to get it working, and I guess you got it working, and then he acquired another one. How is he making out in that endeavors? Over.
Well, let's see, that's my brother-in-law over in Forney. He's got 2 jukeboxes, and up until about now, he hasn't really been doing much because it's been too dazzling hot. I imagine he's finally going to start getting back into it right about now these days, now that it's finally starting to cool off out there in all of our garages.
Sounds pretty good. Good weather's coming, cooler weather. Let's see, next on the list, let's go to November 5, Uniform Whiskey Mike. Mark, go ahead. Over.
November 5 Uniform Whiskey Mike. Hell, not doing nothing, just kind of sitting here monitoring our net and the net that's coming out of Arkansas. Every time we unkey, I'm listening to them. They're almost as strong as our repeater. But I haven't been doing much anything, just staying around the house and doing yard work and trying to stay out of trouble. So hope everybody's safe, and we'll be talking to you all, I guess, the next time we have a net. November 5 Uniform Whiskey Mike.
Mark, one more thing. Have you tried using the 440.7 fusion repeater that's near your house at all? And the Tri-County group has now 2 system fusion repeaters that are up, and one's on 2 meter, the other one is on 70 centimeters. And if you like, I could pass along the frequencies and appeal tones that you can actually use, and sometimes they will let you know that the wires X portion of the repeaters may be operational or inactive, but you can operate it either analog or in wires X mode. Over.
I'll get with you later on and get those frequencies, and the one out here by the house, I think you said it had, I can't remember what PL tone you said it had on you, but yeah, I'll get with you later on and get them from you. So we'll let you get back to it. M5UW.
Thank you, Matt. Mark, I'm sorry for that tidbit of information. I'll try to pass it along later. I will try to find it. But with that said, I also want to let everybody know, because I'm sure everybody's hearing that interference, and it's probably this time of the day, because the lights are probably coming back on or so, but we're getting that wonderful gremlins of interference on our repeater. With that said, I'm going to give it to the next person in line, is Kilo Golf 5, Kilo Uniform Delta. Go ahead, sir.
Thanks, Anthony. This is Kent. Hi, everybody. And, Matt, I will definitely take that article from you. Very much interested in it. Thank you so much. Anthony, your job, at least you can speak. I'm getting a little tongue-tied sometimes. Let's see what's been going on. AF5YT. I have been using I got the off-center fed dipole up in the air, and it is working wonderfully. I've been listening to people on 160 meters and up. Haven't got it finally tuned, so I haven't tried transmitting, but it's definitely working a lot better than the antenna I had. I had a vertical antenna that was resonant at 14 megahertz. This one is resonant on that frequency and many more, so definitely an improvement. We'll let the repeater reset. Okay, I was also talking with Jim Byford. 10 years ago, he got a tower put up, and he had a fight with the city, but he finally got his approval. Well, I had a talk with him and finally found that elusive exception that I think it was Lanny Pretty had put into the code. So instead of getting a variance from the city, it looks like I'm going to be able to waltz in with all the proper paperwork and just getting a building permit. Much cheaper, much quicker, much easier. So really tickled about that. So hopefully I can start throwing dirt before too long. And that's about it. So that being said, I'll hand it back to Ned.
KG5KUD. Kent, thank you for that wonderful good news for you. You're making progress in your area, and I look forward to be able to communicate with you, and hopefully in the future, and hopefully things are looking up for you. With that said, let me go down to the doctor in the house. That would be Kilo 5 Papa Hotel Delta. Larry, go on, sir. What things in your amateur radio world? Over.
Well, it looks like pretty good. We're sitting tight still, not doing much of anything. I did want to throw out to Mark if he's still listening. Wanted to see if, I'm sure he has heard, but what kind of memories got drug up this week with Carla Walker. Over.
You have a question. Is your YL available to join us in this evening's net? Betty, over.
No, sir. She's busy. I'm out here in the car, and she's out there in the house doing something else. She's working on some sort of project there. No, she's not by the radio there today. I just want to see if I could yank Mark's chain there. That's a cold case that's been going on a long time since we were kids, and this young lady that was murdered there in the far west side of Fort Worth with a Western Hills and Benbrook connection, and they have located the individual, they believe, through DNA, the individual that did that some 30-some odd years ago.
That wonderful good news. Hopefully we can get some closure. Is there an article or information that I can Google to read about? Over.
Just Google Carla Walker, C-A-R-L-A, Walker, W-A-L-K-E-R, and you'll show up with all of the old information, or most all the old information, as well as the Fort Worth PD and how they went about using DNA that they had off of her clothing, and how a particular group that's handling cold case files and how they found him.
Speaking about DNA or doing those ancestry or family history things, they're finding out that people that give, and I think this is how this works, correct, you can correct me if I'm wrong, But sometimes people give out their DNAs, and then they find out that this DNA matches in somebody's database, and they find these people from generations ago that might have caused a crime. Over.
That's the general gist of it. That's what happened. They checked it against DNA possibilities and came up with a match for he and his brother and other members of their family. And then they tracked it to his location. He had always been sort of on the radar, but they never could prove anything. And they got DNA out of his trash can. And then once it matched, they went out and arrested him and took another full DNA sample and confirmed it.
Oh, my wife, about a year or so ago, I think for Christmas, gave me one of those Ancestry.com DNA tests to do. And I haven't done it yet because I told my wife I don't think they have a database for people that came from other planets in their database. So, because I'm sure I'm not from this planet. I'm probably from Mars or somewhere, or some exponent planet, because even being a Yankee, they're saying I'm not a Yankee. I'm an alien or something from some outer place space. But I'm sure Bud can agree with me, and everybody else can. But with that said, does anybody have any comments or questions for the net or technical questions? Over.
K5COW checking in.
Just where I started from, Anthony.
Well, I hear Randy in the background. Let me get Randy first before we move on over. K5MW, Randy, good evening, sir.
Good evening to you and to the net, everybody. I want to pass on, I did make a little trek over to the Benbrook water tower today and got some measurements off of the shack over there, so we'll know what we need for the roof now. K5MW.
Well, I guess that's outstanding. Hope the interference will go away. Hopefully I can talk over it, but if I can't, we'll have to wait for it to subside. Over.
You're good. Go ahead.
K5JPU for ID. I don't know if anybody heard Randy's last transmission, but he said he was out to the repeater site for the group. Come one, come all. This is Kilo Golf 5 Juliet for Paul Uniform.
You doubled.
Be surprised with the interference. It's hard to tell. Can somebody please retransmit what they were trying to say before I stepped all over him? Over. This is Kilo Golf 5 Juliet Papa Uniform. My name is Anthony with the Cowtown Amateur Radio Club 2-meter net. Do we have any other further check-ins for the net or any questions or comments to be answered? Over.
Anthony?
Colin, can you call slowly, phonetically? I didn't understand you. Over.
Well, if you're talking about me, this is Larry. Over.
Go ahead, Larry. You got the floor.
Thank you. I could take a two-step, but we'll take one step. We're going to ask out there, see if there's anybody else out there, newbies. I've been dealing with a number of new folks that have not been able to talk on this repeater. They've been out there trying to make contact, and of course there hasn't been anybody on there. So if there's any newbies with their licenses, just gotten their licenses, or somebody hasn't had a chance to transmit, if you'd like to transmit now and participate, we'd love to talk with you. whether it's a radio question or not. Over. Well, looks like we ran them all off there, Anthony. I'll go ahead and give you back the net. I just wanted to give them an opportunity. They've been writing on Facebook. This is K5 PhD.
Thank you, Larry. I meant to do that earlier for hams and people that never checked into the net before. Give everybody an opportunity to participate. It's very important and vital for our hobby to help everybody that's out there trying to learn the hobby, and whether they're new or they're trying to upgrade or so forth. We're here to help everybody. Since we haven't been able to meet in person or do our Saturday mornings or Friday mornings or even possibly Thursday morning in-person breakfast, hopefully we'll be able to go back to normal soon and continue our wonderful hospitality with the public. Over.
Okay, well, that's all I had for the net. I just wanted to be sure we had a chance to give those folks an opportunity to hop in there, and I know they're sort of skittish about keying it up and sort of fearful about throwing out the call sign the first time. Randy, that's great that you were able to get that measurement, and that moves us right along. I'm really not sure about this interference that's coming in the wah. It's funny, just a minute ago, whenever it was throwing the interference, it was throwing the call sign at the same time. ID, that's really strange.
Yes, it's something that we need to address again. We thought maybe we might have fixed it and corrected it, but maybe the gremlins might be back in town, and we'll probably have to address that. But I do have a question to ask you, my friend, because I haven't been able to do it either. Have you been able to get a hold of that gentleman that lives up the block from me, that you and Dave went to his house and fixed his radio and then did something with his antenna to get him back on the airwaves? And I know you had said that his house got struck by lightning and took out his radio equipment and his antenna and probably his coax. Have you been able to make any headway with him? Over.
It's K5YT. I thought you were going to call him.
I've been working on that. I've been trying to get a hold of him, but I figured I didn't know if you had tried as well. I'm going to try again tomorrow, because I got plenty of time in my hands to do it tomorrow.
Yeah, I had tried and didn't get a hold of him. All I got was voicemail and no return call. And then you asked about it, so I sent you his number, and you were going to call him. And appreciate you asking about him. So, no, we have not spoken. And Dave and I have talked about getting him some kind of a short-term antenna and a loaner radio.
Was he using a vertical antenna at his house? Over.
Negative. He has a vertical antenna at his house, but it doesn't seem to be in use, not in real good shape, and it may be in really bad shape now, because I'll bet you money it's where the lightning hit. He had a ring around the backyard that he was using, and I don't really know anything about it other than don't think it works very well. But anyway, that's the antenna he's been using.
Well, I just figured I'd ask. And K5MW, Randy, other than that, and you went to the repeater site, have you been operating on the radio lately, or do anything with CW? Because my understanding, I think the sweepstakes contest is going to be coming around soon before we know it. Over.
Oh, I haven't been involved in anything since field day. Been dealing more with the ex-Wiles hip replacement surgery and her recuperation, etc. since then.
No, how is she doing? Over.
she's doing pretty well, doing very well, as a matter of fact. Yeah, they're really pleased with her progress. And she's got the second hip scheduled for November the 16th, I believe.
That she has a speedy recovery, and I hope the second hip replacement goes as good as the first one. Over. It's your prayers.
Thank you, K5MW.
Have any other comments or questions for the net this evening? Over. At the present time, I'm trying to find that email with the repeater sites information from the Tri-County Club for their wires, for their K2 system fusion repeaters to pass along to everybody that's in that part of town, because I believe the repeater sites are up in Springtown. So, and I have trouble hitting it from my house, but I know the gentleman had put them up. He said he can hit it from the Benbrook area up there. So, but other than that, I will try to pass along the information to everybody. That way, if people are in that area, they can check it out and see how it works. Over.
It's up to you, Anthony, to call the ball.
I know, it's up to me to call the ball, but and I got the ball. But other than that, does Bud have anything that he wants to share with the peanut gallery this evening? Over.
It's AF5YT. Negative.
Do have a question. Have you spoken to your fellow churchgoer, the gentleman that's an engineer that did the presentation on propagation a few years ago? Have you spoken with him at all? Over.
Not since March, probably.
I'm going to ask you if you'd be interested in doing another presentation for us again. Over.
I haven't spoken to him in quite a while.
Well, I just figured I'd ask, you know. But other than that, I'm trying to see if I can get if we can do a presentation maybe with the ICOM folks. Maybe Mr. Ray Novak can do us a presentation maybe on D-Star or maybe some ICOM radios or maybe the IC705 that's coming out. But I'm working on that, and I will, as soon as I get something, I will pass it along to everybody. That way maybe we can do another presentation like we did with Yaesu. Over. K5BA, KG5JPU, you still with us? Over.
Affirmative. Nothing to add, however.
I was going to ask you, have you been operating your HF rig lately? Because I know you had a 10-meter antenna set up, or do you have any other antennas that you're able to get on the other bands? Over.
I'm still experimenting with that. I've not been on HF for a couple of weeks, though.
Okay, well, I just figured I'd ask.
Yeah, sorry about that. Just life gets in the way sometimes, you understand.
So does work.
Yeah, well, it helps us appreciate our hobbies more, doesn't it?
Another hobby you have is also astronomy, and I know you're involved with that as much. And I don't know if you've been doing any stargazing at all. Over.
Well, I've been laying out my plans for that. As a matter of fact, the Fort Worth Astronomical Society is going to be having a virtual star party this coming Saturday night, if the weather cooperates. One of our club members sets up his scope and other equipment, I think in his backyard down in Burleson, and broadcasts everything he sees through the lens and all that on YouTube, so everyone can actually use his telescope, and he gives us a running commentary about what all he's looking at.
Sounds like a win-win for everybody. And K5COW. Kansas, you still with us? Over.
I am indeed.
And how are you? Other than that, how have you been? You got a new antenna up? Have you been doing a lot of QSOs with your new antenna these days? Over.
Mostly just listening. I tend to do more listening than talking, and but it's just amazing. I now have two HF antennas, and I have an antenna switch where I can switch between the two, and it just amazes me how different each one is. One at 80 megahertz, 80 meters, it'll pick up the conversation just barely, switch it over to the off-center dipole, and it'll be S9. It's been fun playing with that.
Well, it's like antennas are like telescopes. They don't do the same thing. Some of them have more strength than others, and depending on what you want to use them for, or focus in that particular department versus another one might be totally in an opposite direction. But also, I wanted to make another announcement. It just dawned on me. I believe there's going to be a Ham Fest, and I can't remember the exact date next month. I'm gearing it towards the end of next month. It's going to be in Springtown, so there's going to be a Springtown Ham Fest next month. Over. I believe they are also looking for possibly presenters to do presentations, and I think they might be doing VE testing as well. Over. Oh, and for those of you that also like AMSAT or following with satellites, there is besides the weekly AMSAT information, Metroplex information net that operates on Wednesday evenings on the Arlington repeater 147.14 with a PL tone of 110.9. The same individual, Tom, his call sign is November 5 Hotel Yankee Papa, is now doing a AMSAT net called AMSAT, the same net, but it's going to be with the east on the end versus the one on this side of the DFW area is now called west. So the AMSAT Metroplex Information Net East operates on the Dallas Amateur Radio Club repeater, which is the same repeater that the Skynet and the movie nets on Saturday evenings. 146.88. I think the PL tone is 110.9 as well, but you may want to check to make sure. You can also access that repeater, I think W5FC-R, because it's a repeater on Echolink, and you're able to participate on the nets as well. Over. And that operates on Tuesday evening at 8 p.m., other than the first Tuesday of the month, because I believe that's when the Dallas Amateur Radio Club does their nets, or their business meeting or net. So everything after the second week of the month, there'll be a net on Tuesday nights, except for this coming week and the following week, there won't be no AMSAT net on Tuesday nights, because next Tuesday will be the presidential debate, so he wants to watch that. I think it's more important than the net, and I guess everybody's going to be in tune to that as well. And then the following Tuesday night will be the business meeting. So I guess the next opportunity for the AMSAT Information Net East on the Dallas Amateur Radio Club repeater will be on the 13th of October, if my memory serves me correctly. Over.
Anthony, I also have something else that I've been working on and trying to put up my tower and dealing with the zoning office down there in the city of Fort Worth. I have been trying to get a hold of a book called Antenna Zoning by for the Radio Amateur. Now, I have the first edition. Third edition is almost out. He hasn't gotten it out yet. But I was hunting down the second edition, and try as I could, that thing just was not available. I tried eBay, I tried half-price books, I tried Amazon, I tried eHamsNet, just all over, even Craigslist. It seemed like no one had a copy for sale. It just was not available anymore.
Do they make a digital version of it? Do you know?
And lo and behold, there are 4 copies that are available in different libraries that I could get through an interlibrary loan. Unfortunately, Fort Worth is not doing ILLs anymore. So I had to go to Bedford Library. They can't help me. Went to Benbrook. Went to Hearst. Went to Arlington. Finally, the one in Mansfield was finally able to put in a request, and it arrived just a couple of days ago. What's funny is the only libraries that had this, like I said, there are 4 copies. One of them is in Temple. Well, I checked. It's actually the first edition, so that's not available. Next one was from Virginia. That's the one I got. The only 2 copies are at either the Library of Congress or a library in Berlin, Germany. Why they want to copy that book, I have no idea. But I was able to finally get it, and reading through it, and learning a lot, at least I hope. So we got 5 Kilo Uniform Delta.
Oh, Juliet, 5 Kilo Uniform Delta. Kent, I do have a question. It's KG5JPU for ID. Do they have that book in digital format? Over, like maybe audio books or something like that, or something that maybe you might be able to get it digitally? Over.
You know, I checked on that. I tried digital as well as print on demand, and I couldn't find it anywhere. So, not that I'm aware of.
Very interesting. With technology, you would think if it's on the internet, you'd be able to hunt it down easily, because once you do something, it's embedded in the internet for life. But with that said, I do have a comment for Bud. I came across something within the last week. The gentleman that does the Elmer and that the gentleman also put up the 2 Yaesu repeaters. He posted a thing on the Tri-County IO group regarding system charts made simple. I was going to forward to Bud because I figured it might be something he might want to read or check out. Do you have a comment, Bud? Over.
No comment at this time, and no time to read anything either.
Okay. Well, I won't send it to you, but I figured I didn't get a chance to glance at it either. But I figured I know you've been working very hard in that area. Do you have any, speaking about those presentations, are you planning on doing any other presentations with other modes or avenues of the hobby? Over.
K5YT. Yes. Next one that I'll do will be a little more prep for the next step in the Smith chart. We'll talk about dual, and then there'll be one more on the Smith chart.
Sounds like a plan. You're a little scratchy, but I think most everybody got the majority of it. So we're going to have something from you in the near future. And I would imagine the next presentation that Bernard is probably going to do, I guess that'll be set up for sometime next month as well. Correct? Over.
I think that's the plan.
Do you have any other people that would like to check into the Cowtown Amateur Radio Club 2-meter net this evening? If we have any newcomers that never checked into the net, or new hams that are new to the hobby, please don't be shy. Check in. We're here to help and listen, and what other questions or comments you may have to help you assist you with your hobby. This is Kilo Gold 5, Julia Papa Uniform. We're checking some more check-ins. Over. Is Kilo Gold 5, Juliet Papa Uniform. Do we have any other comments or questions or anything of interest that somebody would like to pass along to the bunch this evening? This is Kilo Gold 5, Juliet Papa Uniform. Over. AF5YT, KG5JPU, can you do me a favor? Can you take the reins for a minute while I look that information up for Mark?
I've got so much QRN out here, Anthony, that it's probably not a good idea.
No, we're almost at the 8 o'clock hour, so I just figured I'd ask. But other than that, we can always close if no one has anything else for the net this evening. Over.
KG5JPU, KJ5BA. Good job this evening, Anthony. Well done.
Working at it. If I was seeing better, I'd be a lot better. In a lot better state than how I was earlier this afternoon. Other than that, I did see the cornea specialist on Tuesday, and the cornea specialist was very pleased how far I've come along with, especially now that I'm wearing a specialized contact lens to help lubricate my eye and keep my cornea viable and continue to heal. It sure beats having to go back under the knife and get my eyelids sutured shut closed so my eye can heal. But I went to go see the contact lens specialist today, and she was pleased. She wants me to wait 2 weeks before she changes my prescription on my contact lens for a lesser strength, because I know it's somewhat blurry now, but that's a good thing because my eye is getting adjusted to it, and hopefully I'll be able to remove the haziness that I'm looking through with my eye from the severe dry eyes that I have. And once that gets dissolved and goes away, I should be able to see better by wearing it better and keeping my eye lubricated, and hopefully the stitches that are in my cornea will hopefully be removed, and then the cornea can reshape itself, or then I can even see better, and then I have to get another contact lens while my vision adjusts to that where it's going to be for its corrective state. And or if things are better, if I don't want to wear a contact lens, I just want to have me wear a lens. The cornea specialist said that he would put me back on the table and suture and surgically attach the lens back to my eyes. So maybe if I want, I could wear glasses or a contact lens or either or. But I know if I went that route, I probably would wear glasses. But with that said, also I'm working on getting approved for the guide dogs for the blind in California. They had me set up for a guide dog for the blind emerging class, which is basically a class teach me how to be mobile and orientate myself using my white cane that I've been using. Considering that COVID-19 has shut everything down, the Lighthouse for the Blind in Fort Worth hasn't been really teaching me, so I've been on my own for the last few months or so since the beginning of the year. Now, if everything goes well with the guide dogs for the blind in California and Oregon, if I can get in place in California, then I can move forward what the people here in Fort Worth haven't been teaching me, or what I've learned, and reinforce what I've learned, and move forward, and then hopefully graduate, and then maybe if I want to get a service dog or a guide dog, I can go to the next level by taking that class, because the first class I'm going to be doing is for a week, and then the guide dog class, we're learning how to operate with a service dog, is a 2-week class. But I'm just taking baby steps in that department and moving along as need be. But with that said, I will see if anybody else has any further comments. Over.
K5COW.
Hey, Bud, you got the floor.
The QRN was really, really, really bad when Kent was talking, and he was saying something about his antenna that he tried. Kent, if you're still out there, could you fill me in again on how your antenna's working?
Sure, Bud. I've not tried transmitting on it yet, and I haven't done any of the adjustments yet. So I just stuck it up in the air, weatherproofed it first, stuck it up in the air, and have just been listening, and it's doing great. It's about the same as my other antenna on around 14 megahertz, but the other bands, this one just blows the other one I had just completely out of the water. So I've been listening to QSOs on 40 meters, 80 meters, 60 meters. It's doing a great job.
Have you been able to check the SWR on it yet?
Not really. I put the meter on there, but I don't remember what it said. So I was actually wanting to get in touch with you because I forgot how to work that spreadsheet. I forget which one to do first.
Well, on that first sheet that you're working on,
it tells me the adjustment I need to make, and then at that time, then I go to the final adjustments tab. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. And on that final adjustments page, you're going to have to give it the lowest frequency. So you give it the lowest frequency. You give it the frequency with the lowest SWR for each of the bands that you want to operate.
Gotcha. That sounds surprisingly simple now that you've explained it that way.
It has to be surprisingly simple, or I wouldn't get it.
Fair enough.
But you're saying that it is at least receiving better than the vertical that you had. Is that correct?
Well, absolutely. With my vertical, I can be listening to people, and my SWR, my signal report, my S meter is all the way to the left, not even moving, and I can switch over to the off-center dipole, and all of a sudden I'm S9.
Well, is that S9 in signal, or is that S9 in noise?
No, it's I can hear them, much better. So it's working like gangbusters.
Well, good. That's real encouraging. As long as I guess that vertical is of 20 meters. Is that right?
That's correct.
How far apart are those two antennas?
They are probably at the closest, probably about 15 to 20 feet apart.
That may still be a little close, but the fact that one of them's a vertical should make a huge amount of difference. But I'm just a little concerned that there might be some interaction between those two antennas.
I didn't think about that.
Well, the good news is I think the way you've got your vertical up there, you can lower it in at any time, just get it out of the way, and then crank it back up when you want to use it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I got a friend in Zimbabwe who had built a fan dipole with a new process, a new way of calculating how long the wires are, and then of course also certain distance, keeping them apart at the feed point, and it worked like a champ except for 40 meters. And he was tearing his hair out, and he'd call me, and we'd try and figure out something. Turns out he had a 40-meter G5 RV out in the backyard with it, and they were interfering with each other. As soon as he pulled that thing down and got out of the way, his fan dipole was perfect. He's talking all over the world with it now.
You know, I have to keep that in mind. In fact, you know, this one I might be able to go ahead and take down my vertical and just use this center-fed dipole, KG5COW.
Well, the dipole should have a little less noise than the vertical too. That's just because it's horizontally polarized, not because it's a better design, but because it's horizontally polarized. And you know, if you need me to help you any with the SWR on that OCF dipole, let me know. AF5YT.
I definitely will. Thank you so much, bud. KG5COW.
Well, that sounds outstanding. This is KG5JPU. I do have one question or comment. I was wondering, considering that we have the remote station set up, has anybody been operating remotely from their home using the setup in the clubhouse? Over.
AF5YT. I have not tried it.
Has anybody else tried? Larry, have you tried it? Over. 5 PhD, Larry, are you still with us? Have you tried the remote setup in the clubhouse from your house? Over. Larry hasn't left us. KJ5BA, Matt, the new amateur extra in the bunch. Have you tried operating remotely from your house? Over.
Negative. Sorry to say negative.
Are you aware that they have a system in place where you can operate the radios remotely? Over.
Well, I had seen one of the club members' presentations about it a while back, but I was not aware that it's in place and operational. Is that correct?
Flex radio is in place. I need to inquire, is the Yaesu radio, Bud, is that still in work? That's not fully operational yet? Is that correct?
Yeah, 5YT. Negative. There's two radios. Well, the last time I was at the clubhouse, there were two radios. One of them was the SDR, and the other one was an 850. Was a Yaesu 857D. I don't know what the deal is with the FT101. For some reason, it's not hooked up to it. Over.
The FT1000 Mark 4 or 5 radio, correct?
The fancy one.
FT1 is the flex radio.
We had originally talked about setting up the fancier, the radio with all the knobs and buttons on the front of it. And it is not connected to the remote. An 857D is connected to the remote.
I didn't know about the 857D. Well, that's cool. At least we have something to use while we get the other one situated. That's great. So I'm just wondering how, if anybody has tried it, other than who's left at the net this evening. But I guess maybe we can always bring that up next week during a business meeting and see how we're progressing in that area. I'm sure we'll get some updates from Mike. We can always wait till the next time we have a net. But with that said, I am probably going to close the net if anybody has any objections, because I see it's after 8 o'clock. And I will pass along to Mark the information either through Facebook Messenger, or I'll send a information through the Group IO page. With that said, this is Kilo Golf 5 Juliet Papa uniform. Anthony, now closing this session of the Cowtown Amateur Radio 2-meter net and returning the frequency to normal amateur use. This is Kilo Golf 5 Juliet Papa uniform. Now clear.